Anyway, let me move on into what I'm meant to be talking about. I'm Fiona Strawbridge. I'm Head of Digital Education at UCL. This is Miguel Garcia from LinkedIn. And this, I'm going to talk about an initiative that UCL and LinkedIn, through Miguel, did last year. But actually, the person who we really sort of owe thanks to for getting this going is my colleague Moira Wright. She's unable to be here today, so I'm stepping in. I can't answer any of the detailed or difficult questions. But really massive amounts of credit for Moira for bringing this together. The initiative, I have to say, I was kind of taken by what Laurie was saying earlier. It does feel a little bit like a single rhubarb plant, and we're kind of in need of an allotment to help to bring it forward a bit. But we basically set up a masterclass with LinkedIn. This followed on from our experience at UCL of having gone through the Higher Education Review, which is the QAA sort of audit of everything educational. And if you've done that, you'll know that there are two possible themes that an institution can choose. One of them is digital capabilities, and the other one is employability. And it seems to Moira that this LinkedIn thing was at the intersection of the two, so in quite an important place. And we're a lynda.com institution, so we hosted a lynda.com user group. And there was a chance meeting there between Moira and Alexis Petrides from LinkedIn. And Alexis said, actually, you ought to talk to this guy, Miguel. He knows everything there is to know about LinkedIn. He's a great communicator. He's a great teacher. So Moira is never slow to seize an opportunity. And so she started to work with Miguel to develop a program doing something a little bit new for UCL, certainly. We had some challenges, in that there's no space at UCL. We're very much a central London institution, no rooms, no room availability during the daytime, during term time. We didn't have any budget for this. And actually, it was difficult to get buy-in from other parts of the institution. And in particular, we really wanted careers to back us on this, but they found it, they couldn't really offer us any staff to help to take this forward. So we had those challenges, but we had our twin saviours in Moira and Miguel. So they cooked up this program, a 6-week program. Miguel's going to talk about it in detail. So you can see it's all up there. And we advertised it. And in one advert on our VLE, with just 20 places to offer, we had 50 sign-ups almost immediately. We sold out on the first day. And 15 students joined, and they stayed the course. So we were pretty happy with that, because my experience of running things with students is often that you get a good take-up at the beginning and then it dwindles. The classes, because of the lack of room and money, they took place in the evenings, and it was in the autumn term, so it was dark and miserable. It ran from 6 in the evening until 8:30, and so the fact that, and we are on the wrong side of the Euston Road, if you know the Bloomsbury area. We're in a building outside Euston Station. It's not a place which is normally on students' kind of list of desirable destinations. But they came to us, and they fought their way through the building, through the security and everything, to get to us, to experience this masterclass with Miguel. So I'm going to hand over to him now.
Thank you very much, Fiona. I appreciate that. And yeah, big thank you to Moira as well, who made all of this possible. It was a greatly enjoyable program. A little bit about why I'm here, because my official role at LinkedIn has nothing to do with a lot of what I'm going to be talking about. But it really is down to the experience that I've had throughout my career here in London. I've been 7 years. And throughout that time, what I've done is I've not only worked for companies and advised on tools to help companies make millions of pounds in profit, but I've looked at how can we use those same tools, those same methods, and apply it to education and to help students. So today at LinkedIn, what I do is sales solutions. So that's a product called Sales Navigator, and I help companies sell their products through LinkedIn, so finding the right audiences. And I decided that much of the stuff that I was doing and learning in many ways could also be applied to the way that students position themselves on LinkedIn, and really helping them find their voice, find a professional brand, able to connect with the right recruiters and audiences. So that's why I chose abilities instead of skills. It was really down to just what comes naturally to me. And then in terms of passion, I really wanted to convey to the students that when you are passionate, and when you find a company such as I did with LinkedIn, Microsoft, previous companies, I've feel very blessed. I feel very lucky to be able to do these things. So in a sense, what I wanted to tell you is that when you choose in your own organizations who's going to be conveying that message, I believe that they do need to have those elements in place. You need to have someone who is actually going to be on LinkedIn, who is represented on there, and who's using it. Just show of hands, who used LinkedIn to get their job? Who's used LinkedIn to hire? A few more hands. Who's published on LinkedIn? Published an article. Okay. So the reason I ask is because those individuals who raise their hands, those are the kind of champions that you should be looking for in your organizations when you're looking at someone to convey this to students, to run programs like this. Those are really the people that need to put it forward, because students can read between the lines, and if someone's up there just talking about a product, they're not going to adopt it, they're not going to see the value. So the question was, how can LinkedIn help students find the right career? And I chose career, not jobs. For the simple reason that, for me, I wanted to convey to students that really choosing the right career is something that is going to decide many things in life for you. It's going to have a deep impact in the person that you are, the person that you become, and even your life, obviously, outside of work. So we didn't even show the product. I didn't show LinkedIn. I wanted to make sure that students understood the clear difference between those two. The first part of the program was really about professional brand. So it's all around who are you and who do you want to become. And I think that's a very important part, because a lot of the students, they come sometimes with very restricted thinking in terms of, I'm studying this or I'm doing that degree, so that means that I need to do, this or that. So I wanted to make sure that, first of all, they really understand that what we're talking about is finding careers that are aligned to their personality, to their interests, ambitions, and really focusing on that first. And then also looking at who are the type of people working in those companies and jobs that you can look at. You can look at their 10-year, 20-year, 30-year careers and really connect the dots between the two. And then in terms of building relationships, so who should you know that can get you there? So one of the biggest challenges, of course, for students is that when they arrive to LinkedIn, it's kind of like a business cocktail party. They don't feel like they fit in, right? They don't have the network. They don't have the connections. And so it's normal for them to see this as a challenge. So for us, it's being able to show them things like the alumni from their university who are on LinkedIn. What are those alumni doing? And what are some of the professionals, some of the influencers, industry influencers on LinkedIn? What are they talking about? What are they publishing? So really what I'm trying to say is you need to inspire them from day one. And something that Maura and I did really well was decide that the first thing we needed to do in that workshop is not put a screen up or not put LinkedIn. It's just make sure that students feel like they belong and that they understand what the value here is for them. And in terms of the third part is really around career planning. So what can you do in the next 1 to 2 years to learn and develop? And this is where I'm going to bring in how Linda helped us and how students were able to find the right courses to match what they actually wanted to achieve. So we always start with obviously looking at social networks, so looking at a lot of the apps that students are using, the sites, and then comparing that to obviously LinkedIn. So what are the clear differences between the two, which is very important for them to understand. One of the things that we just surpassed at LinkedIn was the 500 million member mark. So 200 countries represented on the network. Out of those, over 23 million are UK members and counting. There's over 500,000 UK jobs currently on LinkedIn. Out of those, 120,000 are in London. And over 50,000 of those are internships and entry-level jobs. And the reason I put this up there is because we wanted to convey to students also about the opportunities, right? What's currently already available on the platform. So when we go into building a professional brand, it's really about getting noticed, right? Getting noticed by recruiters, the right people, managers, leaders within LinkedIn. And where do I start? And for us, it was really important for students to understand that they need to understand what they love, what they're passionate about, the kind of questions, the things that really intrigue them, and also what are they already good at? What are they naturally good at? And what does the job market actually need? So what do people need and what do people want? And really finding a connection between those three. So we did an exercise where it was a Venn diagram, and we filled up different options under these. And so it really helps students really focus on the part of who they currently are and who they want to become. So this was a really, really eye-opening exercise for a lot of the students in terms of going beyond what it is that they're currently doing at university or beyond their degree, or sometimes if they were studying different things, finding the connection between those two and finding the kind of careers where they can use those skills. So what does that actually look like on LinkedIn? On LinkedIn, we have the advanced search technique there that you can use. And with this, it's something that helps the students really zero in on what it is that they want to achieve. And this is by using filters. So a lot of the students had never seen this. They'd never used anything like it. So this is something that really helped them focus on the type of jobs. It could be if they were looking at a specific region or a specific industry, function, any keywords, things like that, really helped them discover the right things on LinkedIn. And so this was something that was important before we ever focused on anything like their profile, is let's show you what's already available on the network. Just a short story here. So Laura Yi was a student as part of the program. And Laura was a very shy student, as I know many of us come across. But what I really liked about Laura is that she was deeply passionate about translation. And she did an excellent job of conveying that through her LinkedIn summary, as you can see there. But what she did was beyond that. She arrived to the program without a LinkedIn profile. Didn't think she needed to focus on anything like LinkedIn until probably nearer to graduation or after that. Within weeks, Laura published on LinkedIn her first article, Why Translators Can't Be Replaced. And this came from that Venn diagram that we were talking about. She was really passionate about talking specifically on the skills that could not be replaced or automated. And she talked about things like subtitling movies and making sure that you actually don't take it too literal, but look at the culture of that region, look at the culture of those countries, and how something like that cannot be automated by a machine. And why someone like her, and with her skills and what she's passionate about, this is what she could offer. Now, this made a big difference in the sense that Laura got hundreds of followers within weeks. She had people approaching her and messaging her. And this is really what I wanted to convey to the students is when you take that first step, you know you're mastering LinkedIn when the right people are approaching you, when the right people are messaging you. But it was also good for her when she was actually connecting with people or wanting to set up meetings with them. She was using this article. She was saying, I recently wrote an article I believe that you may be interested in. So it was a great way for her to connect with people on LinkedIn. And a few of the other students also published. I would say this is one of the biggest challenges, is getting students to publish. But when you take these steps, when you encourage them, and then when they start seeing the actual value of that, it's really cool to see how excited they get when people are approaching them on LinkedIn. So in terms of bringing your profile to life, something else that we talk to students is use LinkedIn as your portfolio. I think these past 2 days we've heard people saying portfolio, gathering your work. Well, that can be LinkedIn. Your LinkedIn profile is your opportunity to post about the kind of articles that you're interested in, any of the work that you're currently doing in university, any of the projects, even if it's just an image, right? Anything that you've published, any videos, could be your own or it could be someone else's. You can publish that on LinkedIn with permission. And really what this is going to do is going to tell the employer that you're not just looking for a job, you are interested in a career and you're conveying all of those interests through your LinkedIn profile. So why does this matter? 9 out of 10 of recruiters are using LinkedIn. So they're using LinkedIn to look at your profile, to look at the things that you're publishing. And one of the things I told the students is what will happen many times is you have an incomplete profile, you have no image. We're at LinkedIn, so we know what, the recruiters, what tool they're using, and many of them will skip over that information because they don't have the time to go through all of those profiles and all of those people. So many times you will simply be passed over and they will not look at your profile. So it won't matter, really. And this is one of the things that we wanted to convey, is to make sure that they understood what exactly are they looking for, what are the type of keywords that you should be including in your profile. The things that you should be filling out in that profile, things like education, your photo, obviously experience and volunteer experience, as well as your skills. 75% of hiring managers are looking at your profile to learn more about you. So if any of these parts are not filled out, that's obviously going to affect you as well. And then 10 times more likely, members that are including their education, but not just your education or what you're studying, but also anything that you've done, any honors that you've received. So it's very important to include this as well. And in terms of not having a photo, so this was another issue, whether it was you not having a photo or you not having a professional photo, all of these things. You know, if you appear in a search result and that's the first thing they see, they're not even going to be bothered about clicking on the profile, so this is something else that will affect you. And in terms of the experience, so this was a big section that I think sometimes students really struggle with, is they feel like they don't have experience to post on their profile. So this is where you encourage them to list anything such as internships, any summer jobs, however unrelated. And this was another issue with students. They believe that they shouldn't post something on there because it's unrelated to what they're studying, or it's not related to the kind of job or career that they want. And this is where I encourage them. People today, a lot of companies, they want to see everything you've done, right? They don't want to see just what that you think fits in a certain box. So it was important for them to include any of that experience within their profile, even if it was just something that they worked on at university. Just including that as well made a difference. Volunteer experience, a lot of students did have volunteer experience, so this was something that was a lot easier to convey. In terms of their skills, so this was something else that I find a lot of students were struggling with, is choosing the right skills, not choosing just the simple Microsoft Office skills, but going a bit advanced in terms of what their what skills are required for the jobs that they want, and making sure that they also are looking at profiles of those employees, of those influencers on LinkedIn, and what skills they have for those jobs. So the next and last part was about getting hired. So what are the actions that you take once you're very comfortable with your profile and everything that you've listed? This is where it can get overwhelming. I've heard a lot in the past 2 days, oh, students, they have so much to do, they just don't have the time. Well, as part of the program, and as Fiona was saying, 15 students did come for 6 weeks, and they put in a lot of time into this. And the reason that they did that is because of the results that they were getting every single week. Not the results that I promised them when they apply or that interview, but the things that they were seeing every single week happening on LinkedIn. Everything from the people viewing their profile. Students got excited when they saw managers, directors looking at their profile. They got excited when somebody was liking or commenting what they were posting on LinkedIn. So we made sure that every single action we were asking students to do on LinkedIn was going to lead to small steps and results that were going to encourage them to come the next week. By the time of the 6th week came by, some students had already arranged meetings, coffee meetups, and had even arranged interviews. So something that would have never happened had they not gone through the program. Almost all of the success of these students was coming from who they were connecting with and how they were connecting with those people. And by this, I mean things like the alumni tool. This is the place where you should start with students, because these are the people that are most likely to actually be looking at students or responding to your students. So we started with alumni, and it proved correct. A lot of students were getting the responses from these alumni. It was also very helpful for them to see here where they live, where they're working and what they do, and what are some of the unique skills that those alumni have. So if you go today on LinkedIn, go to your university, you'll see an alumni page like this. So we're using UCL as an example. You can see over 100,000 alumni represented on LinkedIn. And it was very helpful for students to see this information. A student can plug in what they're interested in, such as business development or entrepreneurship, and then obviously the data will reflect that. And then finally, what was really useful for students is to see, okay, once I've looked at those alumni and what work they're doing, what skills do those alumni have? And this is where they can then go through those skills and then see what the alumni were studying, and then how the student is currently connected to those alumni. So again, a very useful feature there to then look at how do you actually connect with these alumni. Looking at the jobs, companies that interest you most, looking at what they do, and obviously then introducing yourself to those alumni. So there's a template that we've used as an example. We use many other templates. By the way, if you're going to use this with students, the most useful thing you can do is give them a few templates in terms of messages. So this was a message that a student is sending, and this is a way that's the first step, is we tell students, simple message, just ask to connect, ask for some information. Again, small steps. So why are we asking the students to do this? Well, 85% of those jobs are getting filled through employee referrals. So it's employees within the organization that are making the referrals. So it's very important then for the students to increase their chances by going through the warmest path. And then in terms of connecting with people that they know, start with friends, start with family, start with people in the university. A lot of times when I was looking at students' profiles, they had anywhere from 10 to 15 connections. They had hundreds of connections by the end of the program because they were connecting with their professors, they were connecting with staff, and that was leading to even more connections because they then discovered that those people had connections to other employees within organizations that they were interested in. The other thing is company culture. So that was a big topic in one of the weeks, looking at what can you look at in a company's page to really understand the culture, the description, the people, the connections that they already have within those companies, and then setting up job alerts. So depending on what you're looking for, you can set a job alert within LinkedIn and get recommendations on the type of roles that are coming up as well. We encourage the students to follow the companies, those influencers, and to search for posts on LinkedIn. So a lot of that came from a lot of the stuff that they were learning about their jobs and the organizations was coming from what they were following. And then in terms of the Lynda part, so this is once students had looked at the alumni tool, had looked at what skills people had, they then used Lynda. And one of the great things about Lynda is you have learning paths and you have playlists. So you can look at the type of videos and courses under each one of those categories. This is the one that I found was applicable to every single student in the program, and it's mastering soft skills. So if you see some of the topics, you can see why any student would find those relevant. And many of the students did complete these courses. And when they completed, obviously they were excited because they received that badge on LinkedIn as part of their certifications. The results quickly, so Peng is one of the students. She got 3 separate internship offers, which are reflected now on her profile. We saw profile completion, hundreds of new connections, 30% to 50% response rates, 8 Lynda courses were completed, and dozens of meetings were scheduled that led to relationships with new alumni, influencers, and recruiters. Here are some online resources, so a few sites if you have any questions about what I just presented. There's some great student sites, so LinkedIn, a few presentations and things that you can use in your own organization, things on Lynda, obviously, and also if you have questions around premium and what that actually gets a student, that's something that you might be interested in. Fiona?
So just stepping back in, this is some of the feedback from students. It's very, very positive. The students absolutely loved it. And I was there at one of the later sessions, and they got Miguel a Christmas card just to show their appreciation. Moira wrote a blog post, and it includes a link to a video, which I don't have time to show now. If you go to tinyurl /UCL-LinkedIn, then you'll be able to find that blog post, or look at the UCL blogs LinkedIn, you will find it. It was a great experience. I think one of the challenges, though, is that there is only one Miguel. He did this for us as a pilot, free of charge, and this is obviously his time is actually very precious, and it's difficult to see how this can be scaled. And one of the things we've been talking about is how to do a sort of online version of this. But it really was an extraordinary experience for those students. We're just sort of struggling a bit to think about how to scale this up, take it forward. And
I'll just add that the students are still in a LinkedIn group, so I created a LinkedIn group for those students. So they're still asking me about help with interviews. I've had a student approach me about their cover letter, and they're helping each other as well. So there's about 70 students in that group.
And that's all, folks.
Thank you very much.
We have a couple of minutes for some questions. Are there any questions for Miguel or Fiona? I want to start with swing the mic to you, Fiona, which I forgot to give to Julie earlier, and all the prize giving excitement. Okay, go.
Hi, it's fantastic. Am I on? I'm working. Is it working? Obviously Southampton would love this, but one of my questions was, you mentioned at the beginning about careers not being part of this, or you
Well,
were?
it was interesting. They thought it sounded really great. The thing was, because we couldn't find any space during the daytime to do it, we had to do it out of hours. So Moira gave up her evenings, Miguel gave up his evenings. Careers weren't prepared to give us somebody to give up their evenings because they would have had to take time out during the day as time in lieu. And so it was that level of kind of, okay. And afterwards we asked it, well, you know, could we bring this into the mainstream careers programme? And the way that our careers operates is that they tend to expect, if any companies are doing presentations, the companies are expected to do it free of charge because it's really good publicity for the companies.
Oh, I see.
And, you know, this is a serious undertaking.
It's like a programme.
This is 6 weeks, 2.5 hours a week, which you can't expect anybody to do pro bono. So we've kind of reached a bit of a block there. So I think they absolutely appreciated its value, but I think the real question is its scalability.
Yeah, well, my next part was really what our careers, and I'm sure everybody else's career services, do something around LinkedIn. So I just wondered how it compared for them. I mean, you're demonstrating results. How do their programs demonstrate results? And maybe that'd be a way of
building the
showing impact.
That's what I started with, and I think that's what convinced Maura, is that from the beginning I told her this is how we will measure results, and this is what your students will get at the end of it. So we were very specific about that.
That's good.
Charles over here.
One here, Julie. Right, this is the last one.
Is that working? It's of what's happened over the last few years. I've worked with a lot of career services on a sort of train the trainer. So, you know, we're LinkedIn. We don't have the resources to do lots of these great programs. So it's more about how can we set up universities to be more successful and training all the careers advisors and giving them resources.
Not picking Charles up.
I'll be good to hear at the front.
Who was just talking in?
That was Charles. I think it's a radio.
Shall I count? So career services to talk up and give them resources they can use to run sessions, whether it's one-to-ones, whether it's group sessions. There's still a level of reactivity that it's actually the students who probably least need it who hunt out career services and get their help, because they're the more proactive ones. How do you get to the ones who aren't proactively engaging with career services? And so that is always the challenge. The alumni data that you saw is real-time data, so it includes students. Anyone who puts in on their LinkedIn profile that they are or have studied at your institution, it's automatically wrapped into that data. So it's changing all the time, and it's great for alumni, it's great for students to see what people are doing who studied what they studied, where they studied, and what they went to do. And it's also great for university because you can dissect it by year, so you can actually see how many of each year, graduation year, have joined LinkedIn. So you start to get a bit of a measure on what that impact might be of you rolling out programs, as you mentioned, trying to see how many have joined since then, what their data is like. And that sort of tracks into things like the Delhi and understanding the destination of your leavers. So a ton of great data there. I recommend you tap into it and sort of find out what your career services are doing around it.
Thanks, Charles. Okay, so we've got time for those two.